think it starts with our relationship with work. And I think if you look at what it is that we need to do, right? We like competence. It makes us happy. A competent person can flourish doing something and feeling rewarded for their work. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way that we've designed structures of work now mean that we put everyone on a ramp towards the maximum level of achievement possible. So the only imperative we give people, even in school, is to achieve the most. And that is absurd, because what happens at work then is that they will not stop. We have trained them, especially men, to never stop, never feel down, never crack. They will carry on all the way to their deaths, or even worse, they'll carry on all the way to being abusive to their partners, to their children, to being less than emotionally fluent, to being less than emotionally useful to other members of society. So I think that's the first thing that we fix, right? Is our relationship to work. Do we need more? Do we need more capital? Do we need more achievement? Do we need better GDP? Don't we have enough? So that's the first thing. But the second thing is to understand why it is we created that culture in the first place. I don't think anyone worked themselves to death before the Industrial Revolution and before the Second World War. Unless they were made to, unless they were slaved, unless they were working in a prison camp, unless they were, in some way forced to work themselves to death. I don't think people used to do that. I think we do that now because in the 20th century, we twice sent ourselves a signal that we were capable of our own demise. The First and Second World War sent an unequivocal signal that we are capable of ending our species and that we are capable of ending the world our species lives in. That's not a signal you can easily forget. This is why we still make movies about Second World War. This is why we still write beautiful novels about it. Every novel ever written about the Second World War focuses on that trauma. What is it that we did to ourselves? I don't think we've fully understood that yet. But the thing that is definitely clear about how we tried to process it is that if you look at Wall Street, if you look at venture capital, if you look at the technology industry, if you look at how we've decided to react to that, it was a reaction born out of trauma and fueled by the same thing that fuels stress, by the same thing that fuels violence. It is a violent reaction to a violent event. Build more, build better, build faster, acquire more capital, acquire more control. They are structures that simulate control but give us none in return. None of us feel more in control of our fear of being alive because we have more money or a better leadership position. That isn't the case. And I've worked with leaders at CEO level of corporations with as many as 300,000 employees, Samsung, AXA, PPP, and they suffer more than anybody else from this problem. So it's not like they get there and then everything is fine. So I think this is what we first need to do, is to correct our assumption about work. Secondly, I think we need to rebuild our relationship to our bodies. The reason we're doing these things is because we're not in touch with our own actual self, our embodied self, the self that lives in a structure that is not just a skeletal and perceptron-based framework. It is more than that. Our bodies have memory, and that memory can, if we don't attend to it, disappear. Putting ourselves back in touch with our bodies is a reaffirmation of humanity. We need to reaffirm what it means to be human, notwithstanding gender, but focused on our relationship to society at large. And from that perspective, really our ultimate objective should be to expand the scope and orbit of our sense of our own bodies, to understand how new digital therapeutics could help people as early as primary school to understand why the body carries this load and how to offload it. I think that's probably the three things that we need to do that I feel are the most important.